Hi everyone, it's Justine here. So this is a recording from an online Zoom class, and it's how we can be kind to our wrists in the practice. And I also decided to take out chaturangas. So I'm teaching every Wednesday and Friday at 10 a.m. and that's UK time. And I'd love you to come and join me. You will need the link, so please get in contact and I can get that to you. Now, I'm aware because we're not face to face that I can't adjust your form the way I normally would. So please take great care and just follow my cues. But most of all, enjoy the class, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Bye for now.
Let's start by laying down and propping the cushion under your head for comfort. If you prefer to lay completely flat, that's fine. But let's have the knees bent and the feet flat on the floor. Resting your hands on your body where feels best for you, maybe on the hips, maybe on the center of the body, in the tummy. And just come back to your breath. And the breath, just notice what it's doing automatically without you changing anything. The body receives the in-breath and just expands the rib cage for space for it to come into, and that recedes on the exhale. So the movement of your breath goes beyond the chest area and down through the belly, and hopefully all the way to the pelvic floor. So in your mind's eye, focus on your breath as being a long stream all the way down to the pelvic floor. So that would be your in-breath. And then your exhale, the breath is coming out the way it went in. And if you want to help the exhale, you'll notice that you naturally probably want to engage some of your core muscles for everything to move to the midline. So it's got that stream to come up and back out. Just a few more, concentrating on that movement in the body as you breathe. A lovely way to return to that inner space, away from all of our daily distractions. And this is very soothing for the mind. It allows us to quieten down all of that mind chatter. So release your arms down the side, still with one eye on your breath. We're going to breathe in and bring the arms up overhead. Bent elbows are fine. You don't need to take them to the ground either. And on the exhale, bringing the arms back over you and releasing to your hips. Just a soft lifting and lowering. Keeping that connection with your breath. And again, up and over last time. And then we'll change this movement. So when you're Arms come back to your hips. Take your arms out wide with your palms facing up. So that'll be an inhale behind your head, and then an exhale as you bring your arms all the way back. Hovering the hands, elbows off the ground. And let's give ourselves 3 more. Two more. Keeping the rib cage steady if you can. And one last one. And back to your hips. And then just rest your hands on the ground, maybe palms facing down. Heel toe your feet to the edges of your mat and just release your knees to the left. So you keep your feet on those edges of your mat. So that's the inner and outer part of your foot. Lifting with an inhale, just the right knee, excuse me, and the exhale, the left knee follows over to the right. Lifting with the left knee this time, and then the right will follow. Sorry, excuse me. And again, inhale and exhale. Just enjoying this movement in the hip joint. Releasing any tension or stiffness from the pelvis. And noticing the movement as if you've got a view into that hip joint. So it's a rolling around of your thigh bone in the hip. Not fully, but partly. Okay, and then last time, one to the left, and the last one to the right. And then back, bringing your knees so they're facing the ceiling. Remove anything that's underneath your head, your support, and then put your head back down to the ground. Feet are about hip distance apart and roughly underneath your knees. So we're going into a light bridge lift. So this isn't about creating so much of an arch, but more of a length, especially in the back of the body. So we're just going to release the feet and the heels a bit more to the floor and turning the pelvis. So it's like you're lifting through your coccyx, pubic bone, and bringing the pelvis up. So come back down from the chest area first. Go through the chest, solar plexus, navel, and then the pelvis. So it's a light pressing down to get that lift as you come up. Think of the back of your spine being nice and long. It's like your tailbone is lengthening your spine. And then through the chest, coming down, solar plexus, navel, and all the way back down. And this time, if you want to bring your arms up and down through the movement, as we were a moment ago, they will come up with the inhale and down with the exhale. So up to you. Press the feet down, the coccyx pubic bone lifts, and then we'll bring the arms up if you're going to go into that one. And then exhale, keep the arms there, chest, solar plexus, navel, and then float the arms down. Breathe out. And again, inhale, lift up. So let's take this a bit more into a flow movement. Exhale, releasing the spine, releasing the arms back to ground. And again, inhale. And now noticing, is your body willing to take you a little bit higher? Not through force, just through that inner guidance. And then we'll have our last one. Inhale. That's it, up you come. And exhale all the way down. And then rolling on to your left side. I mean, if you want to do your right first, if that's better for you, then that's fine, because we'll just change in a moment to the other side. So use your arm as a support here. There's like a little head rest. And we're going to stack the knees, stack the legs. So we've got a nice straight spine. And then we're going to lift the top leg and lift the foot with you, and exhale, release them back together. So if you want to use another hand as support in front of you to help you from falling backwards, that's quite nice. Lifting up again. And now taking the top knee into some kind of circular movement. So I want this to be a little bit organic for you. Just turning the thigh bone in that hip socket one way and then back another. And then a very unusual movement for our hip, which is good to change and have different things in your practice. So take your top heel to your bottom knee. Top heel to your bottom knee. And try and keep the top knee as far away from the bottom knee as you can. So it's an outward turning feeling in the hip joint. And now let's take the top knee, turning it inwards so it touches the bottom knee. And then your top foot will just be in the air. So as you can see, now we're turning inwards. So let's go back to the heel. That's the inhale. And then exhale, the knee. Inhale, heel. Exhale, knee. Inhale, heel. Watch that you don't fall back here. Exhale, knee. Two more. And our last one on this side. Now, just to release that leg, top leg, extend it all the way to the bottom of the mat. And if you want to now support your head through your hands, that might be more comfortable for the rest of the body. So just a little lifting and lowering in space. So think of not going too high with this top leg, not too far past the hip joint. Keep it low down. And then bending that top knee. Now, if you can, take hold of the ankle. Now, the bottom leg, you're going to have to straighten that because that's going to be a little bit of a support mechanism here. So keeping that strong, holding the top ankle, and think of pressing the hip bone forwards rather than pulling the knee backwards. So the knee doesn't get compromised here. We're just pressing gently the hip bone forwards, and that creates a stretch all the way down the front of the thigh. Pause. Concentrate on the breath. Okay, and then bring both knees together. Roll onto your back. I'll just spin around. You don't need to, but roll onto your back. Come on to the other side. Using the arm, the underarm as a prop. Stacking the knees. using the other hand as a prop if you need to avoid you from falling backwards. So we're going to lift that top leg off the bottom leg, up with the inhale, and down with the exhale. And just feeling this in the hip sockets, slowly waking that joint up. Circular movements now, so something that feels more organic for you, something that your hip is going to want and like, and making sure you go both ways. And then here we go for that unusual movement. So we have 5 of these. So it's an inhale, touching the heel to the bottom knee, and then turn the foot to the ceiling and touch knee to knee. Exhale, inhale. So really moving in that hip joint. Turning the foot out, turning the leg out, turning the knee in. And you might have much more of a preference of which way you like to turn. Last one. Well done, everybody. And then maybe propping yourself up a little bit more. We'll extend that top leg. And it's just a lift up and down, not going high, though, keeping, the foot coming just slightly above the hip joint. Up and down in space, inhaling and exhaling. And see if you can lengthen the leg here. It just might help release any tension that might be there. Okay, straighten the bottom leg now. Bend that top knee. So the bottom leg is holding you steady. If you can, take hold of the ankle. If not, you can still do this and keep the hand in front. Yeah, so if you can and you want to hold the ankle, you might have to really steady yourself here. There might be a little bit of wobbling. So your alignment will really help, having a straight line from the foot all the way up through the body. So knee of the top leg is no higher than the hip. And you're just gently inviting the top of the thigh forwards. So we're not taking the knee backwards here. We're literally just taking the thigh bone forwards. So very much at the top of the hip. Okay, and then release. Roll onto your back. And bring your knees into your chest. Hug them in a little bit. Trying to keep the tailbone down a little bit towards the floor. Just squeeze in and release. Squeeze in and release. And then bringing your hands behind your head, linking your fingers so that you have a little cradle. Your hands are giving your head a support. So let the head rest into the hands. The weight of the head it's a lot. So let's just allow it to be easy here. The neck is not holding it up. And we're just going to do a gentle rocking from side to side. Keep your head and elbows where they are. And you're literally moving side to side, going slowly, so that you get that opportunity to use your core muscles as you come to an unbalanced place on the side. So hover a little bit when you meet that challenge. Maybe you need to lift the head a little bit more. Cradle it still. Back through center to the other side. Hover. This is quite hard. It's quite challenging. Really got to bring the core in. And next time you hover on your right, I want you to go a little bit further than you're comfortable with, and maybe release your left arm to help balance. So that's going to go out to the left. Use the core. Back through center. Go to the left. Meet the edge. Meet the edge. Balance yourself. Go a little bit further. Use your right arm to hold you on that edge. And then back you come. Lovely. And then release. Pause for a moment. Hands onto your tummy maybe, or onto your hip bones. Breathe. And then roll to your right and come up on to hands and knees. So as I said, this class is going to help with wrists. We're not going to use too much weight down into the wrists. So tuck your toes under and have your finger pads on the ground. So you're really doming through the palm of the hand. So we're going to be doing our cat and cows in this way. It will feel different. So take a breath in. Remember, this is to lengthen all the way through the front of the body. So distance from pubic bone to your throat. And then let's shorten that distance. Bring in the pubic bone towards your nose as you curl up. And again, breathe in. And breathe out. So to help your fingertips, to help your finger pads, lift up a little bit into your armpits. Press back through your heel bone. Okay, so this time we're going to change it. Breathe in. We've got that length. As you exhale, scoop and take your hips to your heels and then gently roll yourself up, taking your arms in the air. Releasing the right hand down and then turning a little bit, side bend gently to the right with your left arm. Back up, breathe in. Let's switch that to the other side. So left hand down, right arm can come over. And again. So think of the right fingertips going towards the ground. Watch your lower back slow. You don't need to go too far. And one more each side. If you get tired, you can put the lower hand onto the hip. That might be a nice option. So back you come up, both hands. And then as you exhale, bend your knees, hips to your heels, finger pads down. You've still got the dome through the palm of the hand. And then just come off your knees so that you're hovering over your ankles. Now, some people with their body proportions will be able to take the heel to the floor if that feels more comfortable for you. So you're squatting much more. So the knees are apart here. Bring the hands to meet at your heart and then gently lift up. So it's as if you're pushing away from your legs, bringing yourself into more of a balance on the toes. So we're going to challenge this a little bit. So the right arm can go up at an angle and the left fingertips can come down to the ground. They just touch, just a little bit of support as you bring them to the ground. Okay, you can really stretch out through the right side of the body. Bring the hands to meet at your heart again. Inhale and then exhale over. Stretch, stretch, stretch to that left side. And breathe in again. So a bit of balance in here. Don't worry if you're wobbly. You know, that would be partly expected. Inhale again and exhale. Okay, this time just stacking the arms, one on top of the other. Yeah, so you can use the underhand to hold that elbow and gently lifting those elbows up a little bit. You probably can't take them, depends on your proportions, and then back down. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Bringing the hands down, knees down. Rest the tops of the feet and draw the arms forwards. Child's pose. So up to you whether you release your head to the ground or not. Maybe you just want to have the head lifted, but maybe the elbows resting or the elbows off the ground. If the elbows are off the ground, it's quite nice to bring your palms to dome again, because that will really help all the way up into the shoulder joint. Okay, and from here, lift up, walk the fingertips back. Tuck your toes under. And then to your feet. So we're going to do a forward fold here to get the heels to the ground. Get your weight into your heel joints. Separate the feet so they're hip distance apart. Be generous in the bend of your knees here so that you can come all the way up and then bring the hands back to meet at the heart. So we'll be mindful the way we walk to the top of our mat, because I obviously you're at the back of your mat. So placing the right heel, spreading the sole of the foot as much as you can and the toes, and the backs of the toes meeting the mat. Then the left, the right, and then the left. So settle back into those really supportive ankles. They're supportive as long as you place the weight of your body in the right place. If we're too far forwards, it's the toes that compensate. Too far back, it's probably the thighs. So let's give the ankles their job. So I like a little micro bend in my knees. All right, so we're going to inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, again, a generous bend in the knees as you bring the finger pads to the floor, crown of the head down. Inhale, 3 coming up halfway. So inhale, hands to below your knees. Exhale and fold. Again, lifting hands to below knees, spine is long, and fold. And one more. Inhale and fold. So we have a choice here. So you can walk the feet back and take yourself into downward dog, or you can walk the feet back, come to knees, and come into the funky dolphin pose, where you have the elbows on the ground. So it's like a downward dog, but with the knees on the ground. But if you want to be in downward dog, that's fine. Make sure you're not taking that into the wrists. So we are having a really nice long spine. Knees are slightly bent. Maybe checking in with the ankles, making sure that nothing is falling into that midline. So you don't want those ankle bones falling in. Equally, you don't want them falling out. There's an evenness there. One more breath. And then in your own time, coming to your knees. So this is where the prop will be very handy. So the cushion or a folded blanket, about middle of your mat. and you're going to lay over it. But the padding and the support is mostly in the belly, slightly above your hip bones. So the pubic bone is past the cushioning. So elbows are on the ground now, roughly about slightly forwards of your shoulders. Your legs are straight and out the back, but the elbows here are supporting you. But the temptation is to fall into the shoulders and slouch. So what we're going to do is resist that. Press gently through the elbows, and the front ribs, the chest will lift. Now let's bring that so that we can assist a full spine length and movement here. So as you're lifting through your chest, think of lengthening through your tailbone. So it will be maybe a little bit of a belly lift, a fraction of a sacrum lift, but the movement seems to be happening more on the inside. So hold this and see if you can relax the thigh muscles a little bit. Your shoulders might be doing a little bit of work, but that's fine because they're supporting you here. And then see if you can lift a little bit more. Is that comfortable for your lower back, or do you need to bring your elbows in, or are you getting tired and you need to take your elbows further away? Whatever version is fine. Just be kind to your back, lower back. So the upper back is having to work here, and that's quite nice. Okay, and then release, bring the hands back. Come onto your knees. Just put your prop to the side. You'll bring it back in for the next round. Tuck your toes under, finger pads to the ground. Come back to your squatting position, and then fold over your legs down into your ankles. A little bend in those knees will help you to come up. Hands meet at the heart. Okay, so we have our mindful walk. So it's that right foot first, left foot. Really take the heel, spread the sole of the foot, spread the back of the toes. Right foot again. And left foot. And then finding that balance between these two. So you might need to really work out where that is for you. So a little bend in those knees, just to help with that alignment. So shoulders over hips, hips over knees, knees over ankles. Inhale, lift. Now, good bend in your knees to be kind to that lower back as you come down. Finger pads to the ground, dome in the palm of the hands. 3 halfway lifts. So inhale. Watch you're not leaning back through the buttocks or the legs. Inhale again. Nice long neck. And third one, inhale. Exhale. So you have your choices. It's that downward dog or dolphin. Yeah, so remember, dolphin is knees on the ground, elbows come down, and then you push back through the pelvis a bit, so you stack your hips over your knees. So you might need to walk your knees back and get the length in the spine. Now, I do find personally in dolphin pose, I have a real temptation to drop my rib cage, and that's a completely different pose. So here, really make sure you lift your ribs back to your spine so that you replicate downward dog with the spine length. So breathe. Maybe try having the hands a little bit wider in your downward dog today. Maybe the fingers slightly turned out. Is there something here that could help with your shoulders, help with your wrists and the elbows? Sometimes it's good to explore different options. Okay, coming to your knees. Bring in your cushion or blanket in. And then to the ground. So the belly is being lifted with this prop. Now this time, bring the right hand towards your left elbow. So you're going to use more of the right shoulder as your support here. Legs are long out the back, remember. So we're going to be using the left hand. Now, we want to try and keep the body fairly level here, even though we've only got support on one side. So we're going to lengthen through this left arm all the way into the shoulder. So inhale, slide that hand forwards, keep the ribs lifted, the back is long, and then exhale, slide it back. So you might need a few to adjust where your elbow, right elbow, needs to be to support you well. So it's inhale forwards and exhale back. And sliding, just hovering off the ground. One more on this side. So notice, is there anything happening in the back of the body on the right side to compensate? So let's switch sides. Maybe wriggle yourself around, get really comfortable. Lift the ribs again. Remember, we're not slouching into that left shoulder. We want to lift the ribs. Now there is a temptation to fall a little bit to the left. So that's where you've got to use the core, send the legs back. So it's the right hand this time. Slide it forwards, inhale, and then bringing it back. So we don't want to take the rest of the body with this because we would collapse. We're staying steady where we are, but stretching all the way through that right arm. And two more, inhale. And exhale. Keep the bottom ribs going in the direction of your spine, not the floor. Okay, hands can come back. Move your cushion. Tuck your toes. You're lifting your knees off the ground. Okay, take your time, breathe in. Heels can go down, crown of the head to the floor. So you're folding over your legs. Now, good. Bending your knees will help you to come all the way up. Letting the hands meet at your heart. Just a couple of breaths. Now this time, instead of looking down at your mat and placing your feet, maybe look directly forwards for a change. And pull in that sensory experience as you place your right foot to the ground, spreading it for support. Then your left. Then your right. And hopefully when you get your left foot to the ground, you're feeling quite solid, quite supported here. So a lot less adjusting needed. So you can straight away go to your inhale. Good deep bend in your knees, finger pads to the ground. So inhale, find that halfway point. So again, using the support of the ankles. Back is nice and long. Exhale, fold. Inhale. Exhale. And one more. Breathing in. Folding down. So taking yourself either to downward dog. Yeah, that's your option. Or into dolphin pose. And then from here, really lengthening from your armpits all the way to your hips. It's like your waist is getting longer. And gently adjust your rib cage to help that not fall towards the ground. So we're not wanting an arch in the back here. We're just giving the back a lot of length. Nice and rejuvenating for the spine. And then coming onto the knees, bringing your prop back in. Down you go. Okay, so we've got a different option this time. Remember, your legs are long out the back. So start with your elbows and the ribs lifted. So we're not in a slouch. We're lifted and light here, and the lower back feels nice and long and open. So again, right hand to the left elbow. So find the place where you can be supported evenly or fairly evenly. And we're going to take the arm forwards to start with. So breathe in, lift the palm off the floor, and as you exhale, hover it off the ground and take that hand to the side of your leg. So take it back for the inhale, still hovering. It's not far off the ground. Exhale. Inhale. This time, turn the palm up. So maybe take your left thumb out to the left. So you've rolled your arm out. Inhale, and that's going to be different for everybody. You're not going to have the same experience. Maybe turn the thumb the other way, right underneath. Turn the palm out. Still keeping those ribs lifted a little bit. Turn the palm the other way. And back. Okay, place that left elbow down. Left hand goes towards the right elbow. Find that support. So instantly, if your lower back is getting, your mid back and lower back is getting tired, you can always just pause and rest the hands onto your head onto your arms. Okay, extend the right arm forwards. That left elbow is the support, ribs are lifted. And in your own time, inhale, take it down to the leg, and exhale, bring it back. So this is nice for building strength in the spine, strength in all the muscles that support the spine in a very gentle way. Turn that thumb away from you so the palm is up. Inhale. And exhale. Turn the thumb underneath and the palm is facing up. And then switch back to the first one. Inhale. I definitely prefer the one with the thumb underneath, so my shoulder is rolling in and not out. And we'll all have different preferences. Bring the arms across in front of you. Relax and rest the head onto that top arm. Maybe you want to do a little wiggle side to side with the pelvis. Just to release any tension that might be there in the back. And that, the back does work quite hard to do that. So release it. It's really nice to feel the breath here. You have a real feedback through the prop, through your cushion or your blanket. And then lift the head a little bit. Bring the hands back onto your hands and knees, and then put your prop to the side. You're not going to need that now until Shavasana. So bring yourself onto your knees. And we're going to take the left foot forwards. So you can pad that back knee if you need to. And place the left elbow on that front thigh. Now I would have the foot slightly further out than mid-mat, middle of your mat, because that would be more stable. So we're now going to extend this right arm. Now think of having a clock here in front of us. So extend the arm to 12 o'clock. Now again, keeping the ribs in, keeping the pelvis quite steady. Breathe in, and as you exhale, move that arm to 11 o'clock. And keep reaching and stretching. So this is going to just help us lengthen the spine and the thoracic area. 10 o'clock. Maybe 9 o'clock, and bring in the other hand because you need space. Bring in the hand to the knee. So you're off you're off your arm. 8 o'clock. Keep stretching through the arm. 7 o'clock. Well done, everybody. And then release. Roll your shoulders a little bit. Now bring that left foot back and send the right foot forwards. Same thing. Starting with the arm on the thigh. The foot is on its track. 12 o'clock again. Breathe in. 1 o'clock. So I'm really thinking of taking my shoulder blade, 2 o'clock. And underneath my shoulder blade, now I'm going to come onto my right hand. I need more space. 3 o'clock. So really underneath the shoulder blade now. 4 o'clock. And our last one, 5 o'clock. I'm not going to 6 o'clock. Too much. And back we come. Rolling through those shoulders. Okay. And then just stepping forwards off that back leg, folding down. Through those heel bones, bring yourself all the way up. And hands meeting at the heart. All right, so we're going to have a little bend in the knees. Get your weight a bit more into your right leg and send your left leg back. Heel goes to the ground. Actually, no, I think we'll have the heel off the floor. So your hip bones are facing forwards, hands at the heart center. So make sure you've got a little bit of distance, side to side on your mat. And notice my back knee is slightly bent. I haven't got this really straight because it would change my posture, and I want to be steady over my pelvis. Okay, so hands at the heart. Inhale, take them up in the air, and as you exhale, open them wide and turn towards that front thigh in a twist. Inhale, bring them back up, and exhale, turning into your twist. We'll have one more. Inhale and turn. Exhale. Yeah, balance is a thing here. Bringing the arms up And back into your heart space. Pop off that back leg and get the heel to the floor. So again, you're probably going to have your feet wider on your mat, not through this midline. Hands onto your hips. I'm just moving back a bit. Hands onto your hips. Now we're going to fold over the front thigh. Now it's not about going all the way to the thigh. It's about going part way down. So you have to judge where that's right for you. Keeping the right hand on the hip, the left arm is going to be extended. So this is calling for quite a lot in the body to work. So the further you go down, the more challenging this is. And that's why it's nice to have options all the way down there, okay? So breathe in, take that left arm in the air, and as you exhale from your hip joint, folding, going slowly. So the minute you start to feel the challenge, pause for a moment and see where you're going to need to adjust. Inhale, exhale, folding. And you can stay where it's comfortable for you. You might need to put a bend in that front knee. You might need to stretch further forwards. Bring that arm back, straight arm back. Fold over your legs. Bring your finger pads to the ground. Let the crown of the head drop. And now walk your left foot back. Take the heel to the floor. So we're coming into triangle pose. You're going to walk your fingers back. Take that right hand underneath your right knee. Hold the leg. Bring the upper body away from the ground. Left hand can come to the hip. So we're inviting the rib cage to turn whilst the legs stay where they are. And if you want to take the right arm in the air, you can. Or even if you want to take that, left arm. Even if you want to take the left arm underneath your right ribs and invite them in the direction of the ceiling, you might want to do that. Now let's imagine someone's pulling those top fingers to bring you all the way up. And then release. Okay, so you step towards the top of your mat. I'll turn around so that you can still see, so I can still see you. Okay, hands can meet at the heart. Okay, a little bend in the knees. Lift off that right foot. So you're steady in your left leg. Send that right foot back. The heel is off the floor, the knee is bent. And then get yourself right over your hips. So remember, the feet need to be on those tracks. Yeah, they're either side because you need the stability. Okay, so we're going to inhale, lift the arms up. And as you open them, you turn to that left leg. Inhale, bring the arms back up. You might need to readjust yourself. Exhale, turn. And again, breathe in. Last one. Okay, inhale, the arms can come up. Hands back to that heart center, but the back heel comes to the ground. So you're going to probably need to bring that a little bit closer towards you. All right, so hands on the hips to begin with. The left hand stays where it is. It will be the right arm that lifts, and we're folding. And so it's like the top half of your body is moving forward. So obviously you have to counterlever that backwards in this back thigh, through the core. And watch that you're not scrunching in your neck and your shoulder with the straight arm. You can always slightly bend that front knee. Well done. And then exhale, fold over. Maybe bring that back foot in a little bit, fold over your legs. And then from here, let's send that right foot back. Heel goes to the floor. So the heel is further away than your toes. You bring your left hand underneath your left knee. Maybe take your hands underneath your ribs and then gently turning, straight bottom leg, and then right arm can come in the air. So we almost want to have the side of our waist the same. So the one underneath, we don't really want that bowing too much or collapsing. So if we can, we want to have long waist, both sides. You can always have the top hand onto the hip if you want. And then turning and looking at that front foot. We're going to come down this time. So just wiggle that back leg further away. Bring yourself onto your hips if you can, and ankles. And then into a cross-legged position. So maybe we'll use the blanket or your cushion underneath you to prop you up a little bit. Okay. So as we're seated here, we're going to send the right arm out to the side. Now, turn the palm up and then send the fingers down towards the floor. So below shoulder height here, all right? Put your left hand onto just underneath your collarbones. This will perhaps help you from not lifting up too much. So as you turn the fingertips down towards the floor and the base of your hand away from you, this will give us a stretch all the way up the arm, into the shoulder. And if you want to add on to that, tilt the head away. And that might bring in lots of different sensations down the arm. So you don't have to turn the head too far. Now look up towards the ceiling and then at that angle, and then turn and look down. Turn up and then down. Last one, looking at, and back down. All right, and then bring the hands in. Just roll your shoulders a little bit. You might want to flick out your hands, do something like that. Then place the hand onto just underneath the collarbones, and then roll the fingers out, and then send that heel of your hand away. So remember, this is below your shoulder. And just send the fingertips towards the ground. Gently turn the head away, and it might really bring in a lot of sensation. It's a funny thing, this one. Maybe big differences from one side to the other. You know, we do so much with our wrists, which is why I wanted to give us a break today from overusing the wrist. And this is just a lovely stretch for the inside of the wrist. Tilting your head and then turning and looking up at an angle and then looking down. And one more, breathe in and breathe out. And then just, oh, you need to shake it out. Like you get that feeling of like, whew, Need to release whatever was there. Oh yeah, letting that go. Okay, so let's slowly come down onto our backs. If you want to have a prop, you know, for your head here, the cushion or a blanket, you can. And anything that you'll need for Shavasana close by. So come down, rest your head. Knees are bent, feet are on the ground. So we're going to bring the left knee towards us, but the foot goes towards the ceiling. So we're going to try and grab hold of the base, if you can, or the sole of the foot on the left here. If you can't, just hold the shin bone or the ankle, but the knee is out away from your chest. Now, if I hold my hand around the outside, the little toe side of my foot, I'm inviting the knee to go a bit more towards the floor. So I'm actually using my hand to help that come down. Now, I feel that quite a lot on the inside of my wrist. Now, if I bring my hand ankle side, inner ankle side, and put my hand over the top of the foot, sorry, the base of the foot, my hand is over the top, then I can feel like I'm using more of my arm and not my wrist. So take your time and pick an option that might work better for you. And like I say, if you don't want to put the hand onto the foot, it can be the ankle. You can even use two hands. But watch that you're not putting too much pressure into the wrist. And it's a gentle invitation of the knee towards the floor. Now, it's probably not going to get there. And the other hip will probably lift a little bit. Try not to overlift that. And we'll give ourselves a breath here before we bring the knee a little bit closer towards us. So release out of that, bring the knee in towards you. Link your hands either around the back of the thigh or around the shin and straighten your right leg. Okay, slide the right leg back in, left foot can go to the ground. So the right knee, take it out to the side and then send the foot to the air. So it's like you've got a 90-degree bend in the knee. And again, try, you know, maybe hold the ankle, maybe hold the shins, that's fine. Or the right hand goes right around the little toe side of your foot and fingertips are on the sole of your foot. Like I say, that really gets into the inner wrist for me. So I actually prefer to really get my hand onto the sole of the foot. My thumb is even out to the side. So I've got a bend in my wrist, but I seem to be using more of my arm to get that knee further down. So this is a soft process without really forcing. It's almost as if the hand is just a guide. It's not pushing down. Yeah, like I say, the other side of the pelvis will lift. It's a compensation. And then release that. Bring the knee more towards your armpit. So hands either around the back of the thigh or around the shin. So what's nice for your knees. And send the left leg straight. Slide your left leg back. Right foot can go to the ground. And just a little bit of windshield wiper. So knees in the same direction, but the feet are apart. And wind yourself down. And the next time your knees come up, start to set yourself up for Shavasana. So maybe that's props underneath your knees. Your legs are going to be straight. You can always have your knees bent and let your knees knock together in Shavasana. It doesn't have to be flat. And then slowly release yourself from the practice. Release yourself from any control of your breath and return to where we started, which was just to receive the breath naturally. So the breath comes into the body smoothly, like silk. And then it recedes softly. So maybe in Shavasana today, notice how the solar plexus area and just above it lifts and lowers into the body as you're breathing. So invite more dropping in, as if you're inviting that space to fall further towards the ground. The rib cage caving in more and more. Okay, so it's time to move. By all means, stay where you are if you need to and you want to. Otherwise, roll onto one side. And taking your time to rise back up. And from your comfortable seat, let's just close our practice. So release the hands. Take a breath in and bring the arms up overhead. And let them fall back into that heart space. Namaste.